Hi guys, welcome back to August Love Story, the channel. My name is Artieka.
And I'm Tommy.
You didn't know who you were?
No, I thought you was going to introduce me.
I never introduced you.
Hey.
Today we're reviewing Married at First Sight, season 15, episode 8. That episode is titled Party Ways. If you guys haven't already, please subscribe to our channel. Turn on the notification bell to know when we upload these videos. And like this video. Let's get into this review.
Let's do it, man. Who's first?
Stasha and Nate.
Stasha and Nate.
They were kind of even.
Even killed the whole time.
So Nate met up with his friend. His friend asked him, has he been opening up to Stasha because he has a very hard shell? And he's like, do I? And I'm like, if your friend leads with that, you do.
Yeah.
He brought up that Stasha's been going to therapy and she doesn't think that he's being very vulnerable with her. And his friend is basically like, I can see that. Mm-hmm. So apparently Nate's not self-aware, but other people around him are aware of him. And these are friends that he hasn't had for very long because he just moved out there. Not unless they flew in a friend.
No.
Doubt it. He did let us know, though, that he has agreed to go to therapy with Stasha. I didn't know if there was like an actual agreement during the episode where she asked, because he just kind of asked more questions and there wasn't like a resolve to it that I saw.
Yeah. But that makes it, a lot of it makes sense now, like seeing that part. Those burgers look good too, by the way. But seeing that part about him not being very vulnerable or him having a hard shell, and he's like, really? It makes sense that Stasha is asking for more and he's only giving her what he thinks he has, thinks is enough.
Well, that's kind of like the whole conversation when she was like, I want you to talk to me more about your mom. And he's like, I don't have any feelings surrounding it. And I'm like, you have to have some type of feeling surrounding your mom not being there.
Right.
Because even people who have present parents have feelings about their parents.
And that's the thing. That's why I was like, therapy probably is going to do him some good on a bigger note than it is trying to please his wife at this point, because that's what it looks like. He's doing it to satisfy her. But I think he's going to get a lot out of therapy just because of that sense right there.
Right.
One thing we did find out about later on, and I'm kind of skipping around right now, but later on in the episode was that he is going to be a very agreeable person because he's a person of, his friend was saying to Stasha that he's going to say yes before he says no, basically, type of deal. And he's going to try it out. So she suggested therapy. He's like, yeah. So that kind of makes sense on his progression through everything, because he said every suggestion she's made, he's agreed to.
I wonder if the agreeable part has anything to do with military dad.
I don't know. It probably does, just to kind of like a mechanism to get people to shut up.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I don't have that relationship to my military family. Like, I've never felt like I'm just going to agree with them so that they'll shut up.
Yeah.
Because, like, for one, it was my granddad.
Yeah.
And my uncles. And my uncles are kind of like, no, let's talk about it. My granddad was like that, too. Like, you could have a conversation about stuff. Like, what he said at the ending after the conversation was kind of like, all right, you're going to do what I asked you to do. But he was more so with his grandkids than his kids.
Yeah.
He was willing to have a conversation about it. I'm sure my mom was like, nah, granddaddy wasn't like that at all.
Yeah.
But definitely.
One thing I did want to bring up was, like, when he was talking to his friend, he was saying one of his fears about him being vulnerable was after decision day, Stasha could switch up on him. I was like, he's watched this before.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you should do your research.
Because that's the same situation that Gil and Mirla was in. Like after the decision, something snapped and, they weren't together. And
Mirla was like, I don't have to take this. I'm going home.
But like when he said that, I was only thinking was, but you on the other side of this thing, you become a better person, regardless of if she switches up or not. Mm-hmm. If she like her not switching up is just a plus in the whole situation. But you going to therapy and digging into those vulnerabilities, because I mean, like, we obviously know there's an issue or, there's something for you to talk about.
Right.
Something for you to kind of like get off your chest, I guess you can say. And that only makes you a better person and a better communicator, because you start to understand yourself a little bit better, So he said that, and I was like, dang, man, like, you still can't be afraid to be vulnerable or open completely up, just because that's one of the possibilities that could happen. The other possibility, she could fall even more in love with you, and you guys be this power couple that you want to be and become that. Whatever that looks like. When I think of power couple, I think of me and you, Michelle Obama and Obama, which I know is his first. I call him Barry. Y'all may know him as President Barack Obama, but I call him Barry. Jay-Z and Beyonce. Anyway, power couples, right? So, what else?
Anywho, back to the party.
Yeah,
it was 70s themed. I thought it was very cute. They definitely like went out for their outfits.
Yeah,
because Sasha in this fro was very believable.
It was.
One of the things that they talked about with their friends was,
we wouldn't even have to go get one. We just,
I have a fro.
Me too.
One of the things they talked about with their friends was parenting, and how Stasha was like, we can have kids in a year. And he was thinking more like 3 to 5. And she was like, I don't have that long. Yeah. I'm not trying to be 42 having my first baby.
Yeah.
I was like, I get it. But his friend mentioned that, the reason that he might be hesitant about kids right now is because he grew up without his mom. And I'm like, trauma, talk about it.
Right.
This is literally what she's asking you for, because he's like, he doesn't feel like he has enough money because he was raised by a single father. He's looking at it from the standpoint of, I could be a single father. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, that totally makes sense, because a lot of women who were raised by single mothers always think about, what if I have to do this by myself?
Mm-hmm.
And I guess you would have the same thing with a man, like, who was raised by a single dad. Like, yeah, you could have to do this alone.
Why is it looked at differently?
What do you mean?
Like single dads versus single moms.
Because typically dads have the option to leave, moms don't.
No, I'm just saying, like, when it's a situation where the dad has to be dad.
Because typically dads can leave. I'm not saying they do leave. They have the opportunity to leave faster than a mom would have.
But when the situation, because it's kind of overlooked when there's a single dad.
I don't understand what you mean.
In real time, right?
Like, I'm saying, I don't understand what you mean by overlooked.
In Nate's position, like, it's, he was raised by his dad, but like no concern of why.
Oh no, I have questions of why.
Like you, but it's
Sasha got questions of why. He just won't answer her questions.
I just feel like how Father's Day is kind of overshadowed by everything else, but Mother's Day is like over, you go over the top for Mother's Day. Like, they get food, presents, flowers, all this, and Dad gets socks.
Do you want food?
I would love food, but but I'm making the analogy to compare it to like single dads versus single moms. You know, they are, and I get it. I know that it's more single moms than it is single dads.
Okay, I'll use the example of something that you like to say to me. I ain't think about it. Because dads are like, I ain't think about it.
Right.
Okay, that's how we feel about Father's Day. You ain't think about it? I ain't think about it.
Hey.
Does that make sense?
It makes sense, man.
That's literally what it is. It's like moms tend to go all out for things, or I don't even say moms, women tend to go all out for things a little bit more than men do. Because like, think about me with Christmas.
Yeah.
If it was you decorating, we would not have a tree.
We didn't have a tree.
You didn't have a tree when we started dating.
But it was just for me.
Right, when it was just me.
I didn't need a tree for me.
When it was just you. That's what I'm saying. When it was just me, I had a tree.
Now the tree is for you and the kids.
No, it's still my tree. They'll get their own.
Yeah. So, I mean.
They'll have a tree that they can decorate when they get bigger. And then I'll still have my own tree that I decorate.
I don't know. It's, you know, I always think about that though. I always think about like processes of like the roles.
Yeah.
In families, you know, and stuff like that. So
it's just usually the women are the ones that think about the things like that, the details of it.
Yeah.
And men are just trying to get to the end goal. He's like, I raised them. Yeah, I can do that.
Right.
Am I sitting up here like, let's create a Christmas memory? No. It becomes an afterthought.
Yeah.
That you did it,
man.
But it's not like it was an intentional.
Be like, this is what we did for Christmas every year.
Right. Are you okay, buddy? All right. Yeah, so the parenting conversation, he just said he was hesitant because of that. He wants to be able to provide for the kid in the event that Stasha decides to leave. I get it. Trauma surrounding it. It's kind of like how a lot of women tell other women, especially like, I'll use stay-at-home moms for an example.
Yeah.
Stay-at-home moms are always told, put you up some money just in case he decides to leave.
Mm-hmm.
As if you have that type of money to put up in the event that he decides to leave.
Right. Like, where do you get your money from? If you...
Him. It's kind of like how, you know, if you're a stay-at-home mom and you have no income. Here, will you take him?
Yeah.
You have no income. People will... Or not people, but like say your husband gives you a monthly allowance for groceries, being able to skim some money out of the grocery money and put it in a secret account. That's what people say to do. So you got anything else for Nate and Stasha? Okay. All right. So next up was Kristen and Mitch.
Yeah.
So Kristen talks to her friend. They talk about Mitch's clutter and his mess and this water tower that lives in their kitchen island. She says that she thinks he's a hoarder. Her friend asked her, did she think that he was a hoarder? And she was like, yep, I do. She said that they were looking into a theme for the housewarming party. And she's like, I would like to do wine and a charcuterie board. So she was basically like, just show up.
Yeah.
She said he started throwing out all of these random themes, like an alien invasion and...
What ultimately they do? What did they do ultimately?
It was some type of futuristic... It's something.
It was like... Oh, I know what it was. It was like what the 50s imagined the future to be like.
That's what it was?
Yeah.
I just wrote futuristic theme.
Almost like, what's that video game that was like the world had basically ended and it was based off like anyway.
No clue.
I know you don't know what it is.
No clue.
I have the game, but I didn't like really play it.
Mm-mm. To be honest, when I thought about this futuristic theme, I was like, the only thing that I could think of is either being like the Jetsons or the cartoon Futurama.
That's what the Jetsons is closer to what he was trying to get to.
Mm-hmm. Then he was weird, like, don't touch me with your germs.
Yeah.
I was like, is this a reference to something? I don't get it.
Well, I don't know.
I don't get it.
He was trying to be like they would be different, like as humans, and because Kristen was an alien, his alien wife.
They were in character though, or he was in character.
Yeah.
While they were getting ready for the party, they decided to taste test mimosas because she wanted them to look futuristic, whatever that means. And I'm like, are oranges not still orange in the future?
I don't know.
Maybe it's a new hybrid breed that's blue or something.
Maybe.
So we find out that from her conversation with her friend that she did not tell Mitch about her ex-fiance. So after this mimosa tasting, they decide to sit down and talk about, or she decides to sit down and tell him about the ex-boyfriend. Mitch responded well to the
overall story.
The overall, yeah. I have an ex-fiance. He cheated on me. I just wanted to let you know. He did tell her that he thought it was weird that they still went on this trip to Mexico to have a wedding with no groom. Mm-hmm. And as a person who sells travel, that's why number one, you always get travel insurance.
Yeah.
But number two, it's not weird because if I, Artieka, pay the money to go to your destination wedding, I've taken off work, we're going to Mexico.
Right.
That's
I wouldn't
just
get
it.
married.
That's just it. I'm going to Mexico. Now, as my friend, because you have gone through something traumatic like finding out your ex is cheating on you, having spent all this money on this honeymoon, we're going to go and make your wedding the ultimate, like, I don't want to even say, it's not going to be a pity party. Like, we're going to celebrate the fact that you let this toxicity go in your life while we're in Mexico.
Yeah.
So, especially if it's like an all-inclusive resort, shots on you. Like, we're going to have a good time.
Right.
Because this is what we were planning to do, was to go out and have a good time. We're just not celebrating love. We're celebrating the fact that you lost this bad part of your life.
Yeah.
And that's a celebration.
I think Mitch responded in a way that it sounded right for him. Because he said it was weird. Yes, it's weird to say you're still going
to a wedding
when you're not. But, I don't understand why that was such a big secret for her. And I don't understand why she was saying, like, when she would tell people about it or tell guys about it that she was dating, that they would have an issue with that. Because she didn't do anything wrong.
Right.
I was so confused about that because it was like, what did she do wrong?
I broke up with a person that was cheating on me.
Right. And I feel
Where's the negative in that?
I feel like you should be able to do that because you didn't do anything wrong in that situation. Right. You were a man about your word in that situation, So I just didn't get that part. And Mitch saying, hey, well, you don't have to worry about me, because, hey, I get it. I'm sorry that happened to you.
Right.
So
continuing on, getting ready for this futuristic party, we see a scene of the two of them in a car and they're driving, and Kristen wants to go to the party store, which I'm assuming is Party City, because that's first party store that comes to mind. Yeah. And Mitch is like, no, we are going to the party rental place. They've got cool things that you can rent and then you can return them and someone else can use them because everything needs to be reusable. And I was like, he really makes planning something insufferable.
Yeah.
She did also do a quick aside on her own camera about these. She said she went and bought some plastic single-use cups for Jello shots, and he was like very adamant that she returns them and she buys some metal containers that can be reused. So she was like, now we'll never have to worry about what we're going to put Jello shots in ever again. And I was like, I probably would have just scrapped the idea of Jello shots when you're like, can you return these? I would have been like, you know what? It's cool.
Yeah.
We're just not going to have Jello shots.
I feel like Kristen is losing herself because she wants it to work so much.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like she's not really paying attention to what she actually wants and just being super agreeable with the things that he wants because he's so passionate about it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's a healthy way to live.
It's not. That fabric trail mix bag.
Yeah. Like the bag looked cool.
I was like, is this clean?
Right.
And the only reason I asked was it clean is because we've seen bitches.
Right. And that's the thing that you think about. It's like cleanliness, you know, in those situations.
Because I actually have seen like the reusable not sandwich bags, but snack bags in Target. And I've always been like, oh, this is really cool. But like, what if you forget to wash it out and you got to run out the door?
Yeah. I don't think you should use it.
Right. That's when I think that I am too absent-minded to be as eco-friendly as someone like Mitch would need.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you don't forget to unpack your lunchbox until the next day. And if this fabric container is all I have.
I think Mitch is he needs to understand to give leeway somewhere for her, because if you're at one extreme and a person is in your life now and has to be introduced to all the things that you're doing, you can't immediately just cut it off.
Right.
And say, hey, no, we can't do it your way anymore. This is the way we got to go. And she's just kind of like following along with his game plan. But in actuality, she wants to do something else and not speaking up. Now, you fast forward 2 years from now, and it's something major.
We have one argument that's going to end it all.
Right, because you've never voiced anything, and in the beginning, you were so agreeable to it, you know, and I think that's what she's going to run into, the issue that she's going to run into when it comes to them dealing with each other and doing things together.
Right. The only other thing that I put for them is that when they were sitting down talking with the friends, they didn't talk to each other's friends.
They talked to their friends.
Their own friends. And
Mitch didn't talk to anybody, though.
No. I mean, like at the end.
No, he did.
Yeah, at the end, because his biggest gripe was Luna and her snoring.
He called that dog a useless creature. I was like, Mitch.
Right. Like, this is her companion.
Right.
And at this point, like, this is all she's had. And you know she got to be attached because she be cleaning this dog's wrinkle.
Right.
I would be
that
like...
just sounds funny. Clean this wrinkle real quick.
Or her wrinkle. I keep calling Luna a boy, but Luna's definitely a girl. I would just ask that Luna don't sleep in our room.
Yeah, he's really bothered by the dog snoring.
Right. I would either go sleep on the couch or Luna got to go in the living room. But those are our two options.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's all I have for them.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, no. I did have one. Well, no, I'm going to leave that comment because that's just nasty to talk about.
Now I want to know what it was.
So on after party, not after party, when they were all together, the girls, she was like, her and Mitch are consummating like rabbits. And I was just like, is everybody showering well before this? Because remember last week's review, I was like, does he wash his legs and his feet? Mm-hmm. And somebody in our comments was like, he does not wash his feet. But yeah, that was it. So we had 3, I don't want to say blow-ups, but 3 big ones. You want to go Lindy and Miguel, Justin and Alexis, or Morgan and Ben?
Morgan and Ben is cool.
All right. So Ben started out working out with his friend. He said he didn't know if he could like work out and play basketball with his ring on. And I'm like, yeah.
You can, or take it off.
But if you take it off, remember to put it back on.
Right, that's all.
Says the person who very seldom has on a ring. Me.
Right. I don't got mine on now.
Well, I mean, we're at home. So
I usually put it on for the people.
So she talks to her friend that she calls her chosen brother. And basically she tells him that she don't trust him, and then she says that she told Pastor Cal that they're not intimate enough. And I was like, well, that's kind of hard to be intimate if you don't trust him. Basically his friend and her friend was like, she needs to get over herself, essentially. Mm-hmm. Because if you're going to hold this grudge, you guys will never progress as a relationship. Y'all are just going to be 2 people that lived in the same house with each other for 7 weeks. Move on.
Her friend name is Carl. Mm-hmm. And Carl basically told her, you're going to have to let this shit go.
He did. Get over yourself.
Verbatim.
He was like, remember we had a conversation about that a few years ago? We're circling back to that.
Yeah. But it's true though, man. Like, she's holding on to something that he's apologized for and that he's trying to overcome. Mm-hmm. Now the issue comes in where she's not forgiving and forgetting. She's saying like, hey, I forgive you for that, but it makes it hard for him to even want to do anything when you're being cold to him. Mm-hmm. When you're not showing that you want to be a part of his life, or, you know, whatever the wall up looks like.
He was like, I'm buying flowers.
Right, he's trying everything.
I'm apologizing. He got some good tips off of YouTube.
He did. He did. Because, you know, that's where they came from. But it's like he's not allowed. And she said this, he's not getting a chance to know who I am. But he's spending so much time trying to open the door up. Mm-hmm. You know, like when they first got married, they were talking about, oh, it's his birthday. She got him cupcakes. She was thoughtful and all those things. And they were talking about having sex. And, you know, I thought he was going to smash on the honeymoon. But, you know, it would have happened if, you know, he never overreacted that way. But it's like he's not allowed to do that. And what she's failing to realize in this marriage, he's going to make way more mistakes. You're going to make way more mistakes than that. So you have to give a person that leeway, especially when they're trying to know who you are.
The biggest thing you have to do with Married at First Sight is allow for some grace. Now, there are some things that people do that, like, you got me messed up. No, there's no coming back from this.
Right.
But I think that a conversation can be had, and this is a fence that you can move.
Oh, I definitely think it, because we all, like, we saw, like, it was just an overreaction. Mm-hmm. You know, it was a sense of him talking to somebody and about what they talked about, which
after he said we wouldn't.
Yeah, after he said we wouldn't, but, you know, a lot of people do it. Mm-hmm. Like, really, everybody probably talks to somebody about something that they're going through. Mm-hmm. You know,
the kicker is for her is that we agreed not to talk to other people about this and
that specific thing.
Yeah, and then here you go.
And him calling her, you know, a liar or stuff. So.
Right. So their theme for their party was a fiesta. And Ben bought some really cheap tequila.
He went into the liquor stores. Let me get the great value tequila.
I wonder what kind of tequila it is. I'm not a tequila connoisseur.
Cheap.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know
either.
much about
like
tequila.
Buying Burnett's.
Yeah.
Blue top.
I could see that. Whatever the equivalent is to that. Not a tequila connoisseur, so usually if somebody told me that this $4 tequila was high end, I would be like, oh yeah.
Oh, right.
Because I don't know a lot about tequila.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, I bought this better tequila.
Yeah.
She was like, it ain't expensive, it's just better. So the friends all arrive. They're sitting around, they're talking. And someone asked Ben how the honeymoon was. And he hesitated. And you could tell by the look on his face that something happened. I'm not going to talk about it here.
Yeah.
Ask me again, not here, and we can talk about it. That's exactly what his face said to me. Morgan kept pushing him to say what happened. She was like, you can tell him. And one of the guys was just like, okay, somebody tell me, because we're not going to do this back and forth. I asked a question, or a question was asked. I don't know if it was the same person that asked the question. But the friend was just basically like blurted out. So they have the conversation about it in front of everyone. And then they go with the respective friends. And her friend was basically like, hey, she got a hard time getting over stuff. You keep apologizing to her. She's going to feel like the apology isn't worth anything. Figure that out. And his friends are like, you need to forgive him for that. Because, like, if we asked him now, I'm pretty sure he would say you're a nurse.
Yeah, that's what the thing was. Like, he got the picture.
Yeah, he understands that what he did was wrong. He's apologized. He's worked to try to fix it. How long are you going to make him try to work to fix this?
Right, because it's a sense of, do you want this marriage to work? Because he's making the decision to stay or not to stay based off of what you're putting out. Mm-hmm. Nobody wants to stay with a person that's going to be cold to them.
Right.
Or mean to them, or don't treat them in a manner that they want to be treated. And she knows this is not how he wants to be treated. Mm-hmm. So that if you want it to work, you're going to have to forgive this and forget it. Mm-hmm. You know, so.
No, absolutely. So that's pretty much all that I have for them. Did you have anything else?
No, that's it.
All right. So we will go to... We'll go to Justin and Alexis.
All right.
So Alexis video chats with her sister Amber, and she did tell her sister about Maya attacking Newton. And then they also had the conversation about the I love yous. I was like, I can't believe she hasn't already told her sister that Maya attacked Newton. I would assume that they would go into the sibling group chat that night. Yeah. Because we also found out on I think it was on After Party, that Alexis went home that night. And so she had all the time to blow up to everybody she could think of without him listening in. So I'm sure her sisters already knew.
Yeah.
They go back to this Newton fight, and she says she's battling that as a reason to not to commit to the relationship. I get that you're upset with him. And I get that, you know, you feel like he didn't protect your baby. But I feel like she's also like looking for a reason to run. She's been looking for a reason to run since like day 3.
Since he told her, I love you. Mm-hmm.
She's been like, okay, how can I wiggle myself out of this? Mm-hmm. Oh, you did this? I usually run in these situations. I gotta go. Because she can say that she hasn't run, but because she said that in the candy shop. And I'm like, if you went back to your house that night, you ran. You just are contractually obligated to come back.
Yeah.
And that's why you're back. But you ran when things got to be in a position that you didn't want to be in. You ultimately left. when you live together with someone and there is no other house to go to.
Yeah, the only thing you can do is go back to your respective corners.
And cuss him out mentally or loudly.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to do. I guess ain't no kids in the house. No fear of waking them up. You can cuss each other out all you want to. Not saying that that's a healthy thing to do, but get out your grievances and stop like running, essentially. So we find out that Newton was throwing up blood and Justin was still giving him his medicine. Justin's argument with the blood and the medicine made sense yet again. With the blood wasn't fresh, so it's something that's passing through. And I'm like, if Newton's eye was what was messed up, why are we worried about his internal organs so much?
I didn't even think about that.
I did. I'm thinking about it from a kid's perspective.
Yeah.
Because she says Newton is her baby.
Yeah.
If Lily got into a fight,
I hope she won.
Somebody scratched her eye, I wouldn't be thinking, oh my God, there's blood in her poop.
What if Lily, like, in response, said, I hope Lily doesn't be a fighter. She says, well, you should see the other person's face.
I feel like that would be a Lily response. Guess what I did to them? And again, Lily doesn't fight. Like, she don't know anything about fighting.
No, absolutely not.
But it's just...
I think in their argument between when they were arguing about the blood and him giving the medicine and stuff, I think when he saw it, mention it, and be open about it, because it's like, out of all the things to talk about, those are the things to talk about.
No, I agree. He definitely should have said something about it. I get the knee-jerk reaction to get mad. That is my knee-jerk reaction. Yeah. But I also understand why he does not compute. I need to mention this.
I don't understand that, because it's like, you can't possibly have that much stuff that you talk to her about that you don't mention that.
Yeah, I think that
let me finish this up. Even if the knowledge that you know, this is nothing to worry about. Why not say that?
That's what I was about to get at.
Oh,
like,
okay.
She's asked you to quote unquote overshare.
Yeah.
First off, that is a fully loaded statement. And how do we overshare? So tell me specifically what you want me to overshare about, because everything is not on the table.
Right.
Because if I text you and be like, man, I took a poop at 10:12. We ain't have any mustard at 11:15. You're going to get irritated with all of my text messages because you're at work and I'm at the house because he works from home.
Yeah. I just don't think that type of sharing was necessary.
Right. But you see what I mean? But she's saying everything. So he's like, Newton had some dried up or some black blood in his stool. Black blood usually means it's not fresh. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. That was the biggest issue I had with that argument, because of you're supposed to overshare it, and I don't understand why you don't understand that you know something. Maybe she doesn't know something. Tell her.
And I want to know how she didn't know that the dog hadn't eaten in 2 days.
I don't know.
Because are you not there?
Because that's even an issue. You know what I'm saying? For me, I look at food as like, hey, you need, like how you put gas in your car, food is fuel. You need to refuel every day because you burn it off. And when a person don't eat, that's why, like, we have people over, I'm going to get up and fix breakfast. because I know you're hungry. I wake up hungry. Same thing with dogs. Like, dogs got to eat too.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like they're arguing over silly things. Justin's trying to prove a point, but his argument is like, it's stuff that you know that you should have told her.
Mm-hmm. My knee-jerk reaction with the dog situation is everything about this dog you need to know, or don't have me take care of this dog at all.
Right. But he's
like the dog. I'm going to work. I mean, like, you're going to work. I work from home. Don't leave this dog here. You need to go find somebody to take care of this dog during the day.
Yeah. Like, I get that point, but it's like, I just can't get with what Justin was doing, because it's like, what you telling her? You're gonna overshare. You're gonna do these things. You're gonna do that, but you don't see that. You're still trying to explain your point. Mm-hmm. To me, you don't have a point in this argument. You failed.
He definitely should have over communicated with the dog situation. No, you should have
just communicated. You didn't have to over communicate.
Well, I'm saying in his mind, because he's considering it to be over communication.
Yeah. Okay.
Using his words.
I got you.
I would have over communicated about the dog situation, but that's because in general, I am an over communicator.
Yeah.
I text you literally about everything that's happening in the house during the day when you are gone to work, because I don't want you to come home and think that everything was peachy all day when it wouldn't. It was like recently, Tommy asked me to upload something, and I was like, I have 2 screaming kids. I'm trying to make breakfast for one of them. I ended up on a call at work that went 40 minutes over what it was supposed to. I just need a moment.
That's funny.
But I'm saying, like, when stuff like that happens, like, I need you to know that this is why this hasn't gotten done yet. It's not because I haven't it's a lack of trying. I've tried. Yeah. These are all the obstacles to getting there. Mm-hmm. And that should have been the approach.
Yeah. But I just don't feel like when the group was there, mm-hmm. I think they just had a regular party. They got the arguing in the candy shop.
Yeah.
Now they had a 90s themed party.
The argument in the candy shop was because she called him a liar because she said not telling the whole story is lying. And I agree with Stasha in After Party with what she said. But he also said, all you want to do is run. I think you get aroused by it. In the after party, Stasha said, sometimes things, even related to the situation, aren't at the top of your head. So you might not think, hey, I need to share this because it's not a part of what you're thinking about. So she was like, I get that part. And that's what Stasha needs to understand. I mean, not Stasha, Alexis needs to understand about the situation. She was like, I don't know anything about dogs. Like, I'm exempting the dogs out of the conversation. But even thinking about, like, I'm introducing my dog to your dog. If Maya had a fight like 6 years ago, that's not something that I'm going to immediately be like, my dog's aggressive.
But even in their situation, they failed miserably at introducing these dogs just Absolutely. Because nobody was watching them. Or Justin wasn't watching them, and then Alexis just put the dog down, let him roam.
Everybody's dog needs to be on a leash.
Like, you saw the dog, you felt the dog growling at this. Because first things first, when you put the dogs together and they growl and one growls at the other one, mm-hmm. you're immediately on lookout, just because there's no reason for them to growl at each other. Mm-hmm. That whole situation just was irresponsible in my eyes. But I still just going back to them at the party and Alexis telling the friends about how vague he is. Mm-hmm. I'm just like, it's simple things that happens. Mm-hmm. Like in pure conversation, it's like, okay, we just had a fallout with the dogs, right? Her dog is not eating. her dog has passed blood that's, old blood and stuff like that. So it's like, that's a conversation because now it's an experience. Now I know you may not want to bring up the negative things that happen to the dog, but that's just conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the experience to have. That's the way to get past things is that you talk about it. That's why I'm not understanding Justin's point of being vague in her words, not understanding like what it is that he don't understand about communication with her. But he's trying to do everything right with her. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, man, you just messing up by not just communicating with her, not just having conversations, telling her what's on your mind, telling her the knowledge that you know, because she didn't know about the blood.
Right.
She didn't know that if the only thing she saw was blood or, was told was blood. Mm-hmm. And blood is not supposed to come out in anybody's poop.
Right.
So.
I mean, I guess it's a side effect of the medicine. Yeah. That's a conversation that needs to be had about what the medication side effects are. What should we be looking for? This happened, like, it's a communication issue. Sad that it has to happen surrounding a dog. However, they got bigger fish to fry in the communication sector anyways. Like you were saying, at this party, they got into an argument. They were talking to each other's friends, and she says that it's a guy thing. His friend told her it's a guy thing to not think about things in the moment. That's the conversation also that Stasha had with Justin on After Party. Like, things just don't come up. They're not top of mind. Yeah. It's okay that things aren't top of mind. And you can't get like as agitated as you get about it not being at the top of someone's mind. Yeah. I can't remember his conversation with her friends.
He was saying that he feels beat up when, I don't know if this was with the friends of the group, but he was saying that he feels like beat up when they get into an argument because she's like asking all these questions, like back to back, and he doesn't have time to process them. And I was like,
oh, that was with their group of friends, because she was like, I asked you questions back to back. And he was like, yeah. She was like, oh, so I'm a liar.
Anyway.
I was like, whoa. Yes, you just asked him 2 back-to-back questions. You are being aggressive.
But the thing about that, he was like, he basically said, I just be up there talking. I was like, that's a rookie mistake. Mm-hmm. Like, don't just say what's on your mind. Think about what you're trying to say. And if you can't think about it, just say, hold on. Let me answer your first question first. Like, make it a point to actually think about your response, because what you could say something that you couldn't come back from, or you could say something to set you up to be asked another question that you're like really throws you off, because I've been there before. Master arguer over here.
I'm not a master arguer. I know what point I'm trying to make, and I'm going to make that point.
Yeah. And you just going to hear what I got to say. Okay. If the point makes sense or not.
You are absolutely right about that. You got anything else for Justin and Alexis? No. All right. So final couple would be Lindy and Miguel. Miguel meets up with his friend. They talk about how great of a wife he has, and how she has such great intentions for them separately, but also for their marriage. And his friend's like, I wonder if she'll fit in because she's so young. I'm like, most of the stuff y'all doing is childish. And I don't mean that because of the Dungeons and Dragons thing, but we try to pretend like we're all like above everything at 35, but dudes still be childish.
I'm not above anything at 35.
That's what I'm saying. Like, people pretend like it's just some age where you have it all together.
I'm gonna be 55 still trying to have water gun fights and stuff.
Probably.
Yep.
Probably so.
Nerf gun fights. I never had a Nerf gun. Anyway.
Like, I look at my brother and, you know, he's, it's hard to say this, late 40s at this point. But if we said we're going to have a Nerf gun fight, he'd be all in.
Yeah.
Like, you're not above it.
Right.
He described Lindy to his friend as an oasis in a desert. And I was like, you real poetic, huh?
Yeah, he's a poet.
I know, that's what I'm saying. He's real poet. You're real poetic. But they go shopping for their housewarming party, and it is contestants on a game show. I was confused by the grape.
Yeah, I didn't get that. I didn't get that at all.
And I mean, it wasn't Lindy or Miguel, but a grape.
Yeah, I don't know.
Miguel was a pimp, and Lindy was pizza.
Yeah.
I was like, pizza as a contestant on a game show. I don't get that.
I was
either.
trying to figure out what game show they was doing.
The fruit. There's a game show on Sesame Street with fruit. Maybe she was a contestant on that game show.
Know. I've never seen that game show.
You have. I know you have.
Probably not.
So they play the newlywed game, and they actually do know each other, but apparently later on in the episode we find out that they don't. She tells his friend, he tells them that they know each other's deep darkies, which is their deep dark secrets. I don't really know. When I think about deep dark secrets, it's nothing that comes to the point, like front of mind, that I'm like, ooh, I don't want to share this with anybody. I don't have those. Do you?
Nah, like you pretty much know me.
Yeah, but we've known each other for like 17 years.
I think there's things that I haven't thought about because the situation hadn't arose, and that you probably don't know about, but that's not from a lack of not being willing to talk about with you. It's just a lack of nothing has refreshed my memory about it. Mm-hmm. As you say, I blocked out my childhood.
Y'all,
but
Tommy's a very hard person to talk to about things that happened in his childhood. And I don't mean like traumatic things. I'll just be like, so when did you live here? And he'll be like, I don't know.
Because I don't remember.
And I'm like, was it before or after this? And he's like, let me get back to you.
I just don't remember that stuff.
And it's like,
I've slept since then.
Like, why don't you remember this? But then he gives me very vivid details about other things that I'm like, why do you care about this?
I don't know.
So I don't get it.
Can we talk about the insurance thing already?
Yes, that's actually the very next sentence. So Miguel wants her to change her last name to Santiago. And she wants to be added to his health insurance.
That's a hell of a stipulation, ain't it?
I don't understand. Like, okay, so after party, Stasha was like, it's such a big deal to be added to a person's health insurance. I was like, is it though? Because as someone who was on Tommy's health insurance before we got married, because his the company that he was with at that time allowed for domestic partners to be on health insurance. Did you feel like it was that big of a deal to add me?
I just wanted to make sure you were straight because I wanted to have sex with you.
Thank you for your honesty. I guess I'm looking at it from the standpoint of, in the scheme of big deals, that's not that big of a deal.
I didn't think it was a big deal, but I did want to make sure that you was okay and that, you know, I had insurance and
I had changed jobs, like,
and they didn't offer insurance, and it's like, hey, everybody should have insurance,
right?
And we live together, and you know, we lived together and we were girlfriend and boyfriend, and I didn't see us not being together.
Because that was right before we got engaged.
Yeah. And so for me, it wasn't a big deal, but I kind of see Miguel's point.
I'm going to tell you why I don't. But you can go ahead and tell me why you do.
I see Miguel's point because he's looking, I still think Miguel is in this for the 8 weeks. You know what I'm saying? He's looking at it as, I'm not going past these 8 weeks. So if she wants to be on my, like, I feel like the stipulation for her changing her last name to Santiago is stupid.
And it's like, what if she does? Right. And you're still only saying you're in this for 8 weeks. If she gave in to your stipulation, you have to give in to hers.
Right. And that's why I'm like, it has to be a bigger issue. He's not really, I ain't gonna say he's not into her, but he's not sure about her and wanting to go past the 8 weeks at this point. So it's like, I don't feel like he's been 100% truthful with her about the thing, because like the last name thing, yeah, I would love for you to have, I'm glad that you changed your last name to mine, and you know, it wasn't no issues like that or anything like that, but that ain't got nothing to do with me. You know, I'm still
Artieka Smith.
Right. That's the thing. It's like,
legally, my name is still technically.
Anyway, but it's like, you're still an individual, and you're still the individual that I choose to be with.
I guess I never got caught up in the whole last name thing, because I feel like my first name is more of a family legacy than my last name is, or my last name was.
Now, for my children not to have my last name, that's more of a thing that I have to talk about, because that's my legacy. And
I still was able to put my family's legacy in Lily.
Right.
Because Lily's last name is going to change.
Right.
Hopefully, like she gets married one day. And her last name changes. And if her last name changes, then, you know, what do? You move on.
Right.
But okay, so the thing that I felt like was an overreaction from Miguel was, when you get ready to get married, or not get ready to get married, when you get ready to like add people onto your insurance or change people off of your insurance, there's a thing called a life-changing event, right? That's how kids are able to get immediate insurance when you have it, like when a baby is born. If you marry someone with a kid, if you adopt, all of those things are qualifying for you to be able to immediately add them to insurance. You don't have to wait for an open enrollment period. Yeah. Marriage and divorce both qualify. Yeah. So you married her, you can add her. When you divorce her, you can take her off. It doesn't have to be a whole year.
Right.
It's really not that big of a deal.
Right.
She has to go through more steps to change her name, if she wants to change her name back, than you do adding her to insurance.
I do feel like Lindy should have not brought the insurance thing up. I understand her wanting insurance. You've only known this man for 2 weeks.
That's true.
Like, I don't feel like that's an adequate enough time to say, hey, add me to your insurance.
I don't know. That would be... I wonder why she doesn't have insurance as a physical therapist.
Right. That's another question.
Because every job that I've had in the medical field, even when I was working in a call center adjacent to a hospital, they offered me insurance at day one.
Yeah.
The medical field just is always like, hey, we are the medical field. You need insurance.
Right.
So I don't get it. It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I don't get it either. But like I said, it's like it almost goes. You go back to the conversation she had with his sister about, you know, people taking advantage of him, wanting his money and stuff like that. That's what it looks like. You know, but it came up and his stipulation doesn't match the request.
Right, it doesn't.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like the whole situation is weird to me. And for her to, like, I understand the want of having insurance, but I would think, hey, let's get past these 8 weeks. Let's make sure that we know we're going to be, together and stuff like that.
And I think that if that had been the conversation, she wouldn't have reacted the way that she did.
Yeah.
But me saying, hey, I need health insurance, and you're like, are you going to change your last name?
Yeah, that warrants a reaction.
It's just like, these two things are not the same. And she's like, you want to have sex with me, but you don't care about me seeing a doctor.
And him being so nonchalant about the whole ordeal, man, is what I see as being something to piss a person off. It's like, I don't care, but that's that person's health. And that's the only thing they're looking at is my health and putting myself in a better situation. So just understanding how that dynamic or that mindset works is like, you need to care a little bit more about what y'all are talking about because you hold the key to her happiness in that issue. Or you're the solution to her problem of not having insurance at the moment. I don't understand. Like you said, I don't understand why she doesn't have insurance, but she doesn't. So
I just don't get it. Then you have, and this is totally different couple, but then you have Stasha, who let us know she changed her name on day 2.
Yeah, but and that's not because of. That's only because she's not tied to it.
Yeah, I was just thinking about all the other things that you have to do that week.
Yeah.
That I just feel like day 2 was not a priority.
Well, I mean, like, it was a priority for her.
It was. That's what I'm saying. Like, for me, it wasn't a priority on day 2. Like, it took me about a month to actually go to the Social Security office and get my, like, stuff started, get the process started. But it's like, you have so much life to live that it's like, dang, I gotta go to the DMV. I gotta go here. I gotta go there. Maybe she's just meaning that she went to the Social Security office and she started that part of it. Because her name couldn't have been changed across the board on day 2.
Probably. I don't know.
But yeah, that was pretty much it. This episode was long.
It was. It took me a minute to get through.
I stopped it 3 times to finish it. But then I was able to just like immediately watch After Party once I started the 3rd part of it. But this was an interesting episode. The last couple of seasons, I feel like we've had a couple who wanted to fight at the housewarming and was like, we wasn't going to have it. Yes, you were.
Right.
Do you want to owe some money? Do you want to negate part of your contract? You were going to do this. Yeah. I do hope that Alexis and Justin can figure out they not talking, because like she was like everything was, what did she say, cookies and rainbows or ice cream and rainbows? That's because y'all weren't being honest with yourselves about things. Like y'all were in the honeymoon. Yeah. It's hard to be honest with yourself about real life in the honeymoon, because the honeymoon doesn't feel like real life because somebody's catering to your every whim. Was that a sneeze?
I don't know.
All right. You got anything else?
I did have a question.
Sure.
I actually wrote down a few questions.
Look at you.
Do you guys think there's another reasoning behind Miguel and the last name stipulation for the insurance? Or should Lindy have waited before asking about insurance? They have actually only known each other for 2 weeks at this point. Let us know in the comments below what your answer is.
You're going to pin this as
I'll pin it.
Okay. So yeah, he got the question. I can't remember it to reiterate it.
I got you.
If you guys haven't liked this video, comment down below. Let us know what you guys thought about what he said, the insurance and the last name for Lindy and Miguel. Also, the over communication or
with Justin
and Alexis. What is you guys' take on that? Yeah. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment down below, and we will see you guys Sunday on Live with Jack and Glenn.
Mm-hmm.
I'll try to get the re-airing of that video up over here Monday-ish.
Yeah.
And then also Wednesday, we have our podcast episode coming out with Talisa Ray. It's a conversation that you guys don't want to miss.
Right. I definitely don't want to miss it.
And Tommy had all the questions. During that conversation. It is a very, very good conversation that we were able to get into. So definitely check us out for that. And then we'll be back next week for Married at First Sight.
Yes.
One day we're going to get our lives together and get these videos done on Thursdays.
One day. But not today. So
yeah, we need a Thursday babysitter just so we can record and edit.
Yeah. Anyway, we out. Peace.
Bye, y'all.